The Attorney General in a Second Amendment sanctuary state tells the FBI to beat it and pound sand and won't let them audit their concealed carry permits. Now for this story, we're going to head out to Missouri, and we're talking about Attorney General Eric Schmidt. And Eric Schmidt and the FBI have had a little bit of a back and forth over the last few days, specifically around this topic. So AG Schmidt received a letter from the director of the FBI telling him that several sheriff departments would be visited by the FBI where they would conduct an audit of their concealed carry permits. And Schmidt, who is a Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, said the Missouri law prohibits sharing the confidential lists collected by sheriff departments with federal, state, or private entities. He also contended that allowing federal agents to access the permit records would violate the Second Amendment. Now, Missouri is a Second Amendment sanctuary state, and don't forget they had signed the Second Amendment Preservation Act into law, and Joe Biden is suing the state of Missouri to try to force them to not protect the Second Amendment rights of their residents so that the federal government can infringe. Makes sense, right? This is the letter that Attorney General Eric Schmidt penned to Director Christopher Wray of the FBI in response to the FBI saying they were going to go audit the concealed carry permits. Dear Director Wray, it has come to my attention that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has informed several Missouri county sheriffs that they will be showing up in August to audit concealed carry permit holder records. The FBI states, quote, "The audit includes an on-site review of your concealed carry weapons permits. Let me be perfectly clear. Allowing federal agents from the FBI to have access to records of Missourians who have a permit to carry a concealed weapon violates Missouri law and infringes on our Second Amendment rights. Missouri law specifically prohibits sharing this confidential list with the federal government. Quote, information retained in the concealed carry permit system under this subsection shall not be distributed to any federal, state, or private entities. The people's elected representatives passed this law after it became known that the Obama administration wanted to know which Missourians had firearms, supposedly to establish who was entitled to federal benefits. We wanted to leave no doubt that the citizens of Missouri have a constitutional right to bear arms, and the federal government has no business poking around to find out their identities. I was a state senator when this law was passed, and I proudly voted for it. In fact, we deliberately wrote the state law so that only the elected county sheriff had access to the CCW list you are trying to get. Here in the heartland, we elect our county sheriffs, who are members of our communities. The same cannot be said for your out-of-touch FBI. You may wonder why there is such a strong suspicion of federal agents here in the Show Me State. Simply put, Missourians are hardworking, law-abiding citizens who don't need a national nanny state keeping tabs on us. But more than that, over the last couple of years, we have seen story after story of incompetence and corruption at the highest levels of the FBI. Our trust in your agency is at an all-time low. Here are a few examples of how the Biden administration and the liberal deep staters within the FBI have severely tarnished the reputation of this once well-respected agency. You famously targeted the parents of school children who showed up to express their concerns at school board meetings. Unbelievably, somehow this was done as an alleged violation to the Patriot Act. In addition to targeting parents, your agency has targeted conservatives, most famously the witch hunt against President Trump and his team. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, and others endlessly investigated fake allegations fabricated by the Hillary Clinton campaign and Democratic operatives. Yet, while it prosecutes conservatives, the FBI turns a blind eye to Democrats. The FBI inexplicably cleared Hillary Clinton of wrongdoing and has been sitting on evidence of criminal activity on Hunter Biden's laptop for years. Now the FBI appears to be targeting Missouri gun owners, and we will not stand for it. We believe in the Second Amendment here. So does the Supreme Court, as you may have seen in the recent landmark opinion. In New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, I led dozens of state attorneys general in filing a brief defending our Second Amendment rights, and we prevailed. In light of all these facts, Missourians have concluded that the FBI leadership in Washington, D.C. has been weaponized for political gain. You have lost our trust, and you seem to be completely indifferent toward trying to rebuild it. Instead, you announce that you will show up at the offices of our elected Missouri sheriffs in open and blatant violation of our state law and seek to find out who in Missouri holds a legal CCW permit. This is not going to happen. I will fight you tooth and nail with all the resources that the people of Missouri have given me as their Attorney General. Yours truly, Eric Schmidt. Now that's an awesome letter. That is a really awesome letter. But the FBI being the FBI, 2 days later, they posted this. The FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services Division, or CJIS, holds the largest collection of criminal justice information shared by the nation's law enforcement and criminal justice communities. This information falls under the oversight of the CJIS Advisory Policy Board, which is comprised of representatives from state, local, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies. This board sets policy and security for acceptable use of the information, and has assigned the FBI responsibility for ensuring compliance through a routine auditing program of all participating agencies, which has been in place for years. As part of the planned Missouri audit, a small sampling of system transactions is to be inspected for compliance and to ensure there is no misuse of the CJIS system. At no point would auditors require access to lists such as state-approved concealed carry holders, nor would the CJIS division retain information beyond what is necessary to address a specific compliance concern. Missouri has been through this routine audit multiple times, most recently in 2018. So I guess for somebody who lives in a communist-style state, I sit here in envy of you, the resident of Missouri. Your Attorney General has demonstrated for years that he will stand for your rights, and he's telling the FBI, specifically the federal government, once again to go pound sand. And I love it. Now, he's also running for a higher office that could play a part in it, but throughout this whole process with the SAPA Act, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, he has stood tall and stood his ground. And when folks support you, you should support them. If you live in Missouri, give the AG an attaboy. Give his office a holler and thank him for standing for your rights. And the fact that he's going to fight the FBI and keep them at bay and keep them away from the information they seek is another good feather in your hat, Missouri. Wish we had people like that here in Massachusetts and New York and California and New Jersey, and the list goes on. But I wanted you all to see what happens when a state and its elected officials are truly constitutionalists. Now, there might be some people in Missouri who are going to say, well, hey, he did this. I don't know his history, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to the Second Amendment, he seems to be doing a hell of a job. Guys and gals, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate each and every single one of you. If you haven't seen the first video from today, check that out. And if you want to stay up to date on news as fast as it will happen, consider subscribing to Guns and Gadgets. The button's right down below. If you got another video, made you feel good and warm and fuzzy about your AG, or if it made you feel proud about a state standing up to the FBI, hit that thumbs up button and share the video so that it destroys the anti-gun algorithm here on YouTube. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. And if you haven't already, check out my other channel that I started up. I'll have a link down below. And you guys have a fantastic day. Take care.